Hey, everybody, we're back again with the look at drama films from the 2010s. Brian, Doc, and Rich. Um, we hit on a trifecta last time, and we'll see if we can do it again. We always like when we can come to some common ground here and agree on something, but it's rare and they're few and far between. So we'll see what we got. Drama films, a lot of good ones in this decade, and we could have some variance in our picks. Brian, you're going to lead off.
Perfect. Okay, for number five, I've got Hidden Figures, the story of the African American female. I guess they called them computers then.
Right.
That were a big part of the whole NASA scene behind the scenes, and that really didn't get any type of credit, obviously, at the time. And now that we're given the whole story, just very well acted from everybody that's in it. I mean, Kevin Costner's in it. It's got Octavia Spencer in it. It's got Janelle Monáe. It plays one of the astrophysicists in it. She just does a great job. I think that had a really strong cast, really good, strong story. And it's not a movie that you'll mind to watch again and again. If it happens to be on TV and you're thumbing through, you'll stop and you'll continue to watch it because it's a really good story, touching on racism, and as well as the aspects of the space program. So it's interesting all the way through. Number four for me was Whiplash. I didn't know how I was going to feel about this movie because it was, it was mostly about, musicians and stuff. And it's about in particular the drummer who ends up getting pulled into the special band that they have at this university that's actually conducted by J.K. Simmons. But J.K. Simmons' performance in this, he is an asshole. There is no other nice way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen anybody be so. I think, Rich, we were talking about the things you could get by with, when we were young, as far as discipline goes.
Yeah.
And you're watching this guy just go off on students and throw objects at them when they don't even get like the timing right on a particular piece. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
The student ends up getting revenge on him that causes him to get fired. And then later on, there's like this little scene at the club in which, the teacher tries to get back at him in a certain way, but then kind of realizes that, hey, it's kind of about the music. And both of them just continue to jam while they're up on stage. But what a performance by J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, big time.
People got to watch it just for that. They got to watch the movie just for that.
Oh, yeah.
Number three for me is The Dallas Buyers Club, starring Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto. During the whole AIDS epidemic, there was a lot of stuff going on about how you would be able to treat it, the types of treatments that you could actually have. And Matthew McConaughey's character basically just starts up this kind of business in which he sells types of products that will help people who have AIDS be able to get better or live longer lives as long as they can. Great performance by Jared Leto. I believe he got nominated for Best Supporting Actor for that. Just tremendous. Matthew McConaughey, that's the most I've ever seen. He lost a whole lot of weight for this role.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the one time where you definitely did not want Matthew McConaughey to take his shirt off. It was in this movie. So definitely don't do it there. Number two for me is Rich has already touched upon it, I believe, is The Shape of Water. Guillermo del Toro movie. I thought it was a great story, a little bit science fiction-y, mixed with some dark drama, but that's kind of like, Guillermo del Toro's motif. And I've already told you that I kind of felt like there was this weird connection between Hellboy and this movie. I mean, he claims that there's not, but it just seems a little too iffy to me. It feels like there is a little bit of a connection there. The acting's great in it, and the ability for two beings in the movie that basically can't even speak to each other, communicate with each other, still find common ground and love, and I thought that was just the great part of it. I believe Octavia Spencer is also in this. Michael Shannon's performance as the government agent is just top notch. I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah.
Loved it all the way through. Number one for me, however, it was really hard to get past this one because I love the whole cast. I love the whole story. Was Three Billboards in Ebbing, Missouri. I just couldn't get around it.
I had
Such
that
a
on my
great
list.
story. Frances McDormand is just a tremendous actress. Can carry the weight of a movie just on her shoulders alone.
Yeah.
Sam Rockwell, Woody Harrelson knocked it out of the ballpark. You know, I mean, Rich has already touched upon it in another category. A mother who was tired of no one taking up the case of her daughter's murder, and basically, you know, buying these big billboard ads, calling out the local sheriff and his deputies for failing to do anything. And then there's the onslaught of conflict that is created there. And I think Sam Rockwell's character arc in it is just really good. He does a great job playing an asshole at first, but then his character comes full circle. And it's nice to see a character arc where a person that you feel like you totally hate, you feel some sympathy for towards the end.
Right.
I thought that was a nice touch to the movie all the way around. And it's like my favorite drama of the 2010s, easily.
Yeah, I can see why. That was my top crime, or was my second top crime thriller of that category. I just love that movie. I could watch that over and over again.
Right.
And
I could
Woody
too.
Harrelson also, you got to mention Woody. Fantastic in that movie as the chief or whatever he was, police chief.
Yeah.
And I also want to give props to Whiplash as far as J.K. Simmons. Unbelievable performance. I didn't like the movie because it was such a mean-spirited movie. It's well made. It's certainly good, but he carries that movie through and through. And what was the other movie? But Dallas Buyers Club. You can't argue with those two performances. Leto and McConaughey, outstanding.
I think McConaughey won there for that too.
I think they both won. I think
they both won. And Leto, I think, won that. Yeah,
he won the supporting, and McConaughey won the lead. So they really cleaned up in that one. All right, cool. Doc, what do you got
Very
for
good,
us?
Brian. Good list, Brian.
That was a great list.
And mine's kind of like way different. I don't know how this happens here, man. So I don't know. So almost way different.
We had our shot and then war. That's it.
Yeah, that was it, man. That was it. We took it there.
Yeah.
So some of these I just threw in here because kind of like I didn't want to put them in other categories because I was happy with what I had there. So we'll see how this goes. My number 5 is actually Captain Phillips.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
Oh wow.
I like this movie, man. This is
it's a good one.
It's a pretty intense drama movie for what it is, and you know, the pirates kind of take over a ship, a crew of like 25 or so, and Tom Hanks is the captain, and he gets taken hostage, and the story unfolds from there. So if you haven't seen it, it's probably worth a watch for sure. The performances are fantastic. Don't ask me to say the bad guy's name, but he almost made my list for as an actor for the decade. So he just was on the short list.
I'm the captain now.
I'm the captain now.
I'm the captain now.
Performance was fantastic. The acting in this movie was really, really good. Like I said, some very intense scenes, and it's for a drama, it moves very well, I think. So it's definitely worth a watch. Captain Phillips is a pretty good flick, man. I think it's one of the better ones of the decade for me.
Yeah.
My number 4 is The Revenant. So I know you guys had this in a different category and stuff like this. It's just, I just found this category, The Revenant would have been number 1 probably in any other, if I didn't have these other guys sitting in front of me, but we'll see how this goes. Revenant is a fantastic story. You guys touched on this in the previous video, that the performances in this movie are just incredible. DiCaprio and Hardy are obviously the driving force of this movie. It's some horrific scenes, and a bear attack, and Left to Die, and the daughter, and everything else that goes with this movie. Tom Hardy is awesome in this flick, man. I don't know what else to say. I really like Tom Hardy anyway. So, and DiCaprio was really good too. So he won the Oscar for, I guess, a reason in this one, man. This is Revenant's is a great story that is told, and it's for storytelling movies, like I talk about in the past, man. I like those kind of things, man. Sometimes pace doesn't matter to me either, man. If it shows well and it's acted well, it doesn't have much of a script. It doesn't need much of a script, man. These guys are, it's a great movie. The Revenant's kind of a bit of a masterpiece, I think, for the last decade, to be honest with you. But I find these other ones are kind of up in this neighborhood too. And number 3 for me is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Here's Quentin here. Now, I think this may be one of the more polarizing kind of movies. And hey, look, I take Quentin for what he is in some senses, man. I'm not expecting historical things to be true, and that's fine with me. I'm there to watch a movie sometimes too. So I just find the acting in this movie to be, DiCaprio was fantastic in this movie, man. I don't know how to say this, man. Brad Pitt won the Oscar. DiCaprio is the guy, man, for me anyway. I think his character, there's certain scenes in this movie that are being filmed as him as an actor.
Yeah.
That are just, shot so well. Quentin does a great job. The script, again, from this fella is...
He was just on Joe Rogan. He discussed a lot of the movie.
Yeah.
He was on there. He talked about the whole Bruce Lee scene.
Oh, yeah?
The slack that he took for it. And he said, the only person that should be mad at me for that scene is maybe a relative of Bruce Lee. He said, everybody else can just kiss my ass. He said, I don't care. He said, it's a movie.
It's a movie, man. Wow.
Yep.
There's some pretty funny scenes when
It is a funny scene.
I don't see what's wrong with taking characters from that era and making your own movie out of it. I mean,
that's kind of what he's doing, man.
Put them together in this time and context, and here, Bruce Lee.
Time in Hollywood. That's what it is, man.
You have to go with the flow. Same with the Manson crew. He put them in there. They happened at that time. These guys happened to wander upon them, and the rest, is up to Quentin to devise a screenplay around. I mean,
it's there's some pretty tense scenes in this movie too.
Very tense. You don't know where that explosion is going to come from. You know there's going to be some kind of violence take place, but you don't know when and where.
You don't know when. You don't know that, and stuff like that.
Right.
I like a lot of Quentin's movies. I'm not going to get around this, and
right.
But I'm not big fans of everything, And if there was more time to talk, I would probably throw a little bit more shade on, like, say, The Hateful Eight or something like that, because I'm not a big fan of that one. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think is, like I said, I had The Revenant is a little bit of a masterpiece. I find this one to be in that same ballpark, to be honest with you. So that's my number 3. My number 2 is The Three Billboards again. So
oh man,
I think we all kind of like this one.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is with we touched on Brian. You touched on Sam. Well, spoiler alert, you'll hear his name again from me. But Frances McDormand, man, I don't know if she just has a knack of picking really good roles, or they just land on her desk, or she's got the best agent in Hollywood. I got no idea, man. She's freaking fantastic in this one as well, man. So the acting in this movie, it has so many different vibes to it. And, Rich, you touched on this when you brought this one up before anyway. And with literally the 3 billboards, what happened to my daughter? Why haven't you figured out what the hell's going on? I want some answers. Right. Here's the cash. Let's get this thing cooking, man. I don't care what this thing costs. Sounds like a pretty straightforward kind of nothing story in one sense. And it turns into like a really, really, really good movie, man. And
it's the character development.
It's the characters, man.
Yep. The Woody Harrelson, the Sam Rockwells, even the Peter Dinklage, they all bring their own little element to it. And the son, Lucas Hedges.
Yeah,
all of them. They work well together.
They've all got something to bring to the table in this movie. But Francis and Woody and Sam, I think, are the 3 main driving pieces of this movie. They're all fantastic, man. I can't harp on that enough. So that is why maybe The Revenant's where it is right now. I just can't. I don't know.
Yeah.
But my number 1 is Brian's number 2 from the comic book. So it's the Joker.
Oh, good one.
Make it.
I can see why it's a drama, because it really is.
It's a drama.
Yeah, I find it to be more of a drama than a comic book, but I can obviously understand, the character is freaking, the Joker. So it can, I think it can float anywhere here. Get the same kind of conversations with Deadpool, action, adventure, comedy, could be whatever, comic book. So, and I think you touched on it, Brian, when you brought this up, man. This is a movie. And I think I said this before even too, like I found like The Dark Knight almost had a similar vibe in one sense, that it's a movie and there's some comic book people in it. Well, here it's even more of a movie. This is just a movie, and the guy's name is the Joker. That's pretty much it, man. This has nothing to do with the Joker in one sense until, let's say, the final act, basically, you know, when it actually is the becoming of. This is a masterpiece in acting, man. And Todd Phillips does something very special here. I think this movie, the story is, I almost don't want to see a sequel. I just wanted to let it sit and stand and just let it ride. You know, there was talk of all this other thing. Just let this thing, this is, to me, it's kind of like the masterpiece here, maybe of the last decade that I've seen, especially on the big screen. There's been some really good movies, 1917, Dunkirk, these other things, fantastic that we've talked about. And there's some other fantastic to be Billboards, but I don't think this one just had too much emotion. It's such a sad movie and everything else, and it's slow moving and everything. It's depressing and everything. It's all these things at once, and it's awesome. I mean, I don't know how else you can say this. It's a depressingly awesome movie. It's the acting is top notch, man. I can't get around this being my number one drama for the decade.
And you notice that when they filmed Joaquin Phoenix's character at the beginning, before he's in makeup, he was ascending the stairs, right? But when you see him next time on those stairs, he's the Joker descending.
He's coming down the stairs.
Yeah, he's coming down the stairs as if the character himself has now descended into madness. You know, it's really interesting. I like that.
And it's, I mean, for what it is, like I said, I mean, it's like, you know, there's a whole bunch and there's the mental illness aspect and everything else. But I mean, there's some iconic scenes in this movie that are, like you said, the stairs, and him in the, you know, in the shower and getting dressed and him dancing around. And it's like sticking his head in the oven. And like, what the hell is going on in here? This guy's just out there.
And talking to himself on the street.
And showing up with Robert De Niro on the show. And it's got everything else. I mean,
wild.
And the sad part,
stunning. Yeah.
The sad part is there's a lot of people out there like that who are mentally ill, walking the streets, and just misfits from society. They don't fit in, and he depicts that very, very well in this movie. I mean, it's classic stuff.
That's my number one, buddy.
Good one. Well, I like all five of your picks on both your lists. They're all excellent, but none of them are on mine. Well, I had a couple.
15. We got 15 different ones.
I had 3 Billboards and the Revenant.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
In other categories. And I have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood somewhere else too. But I'm going to start with my number 5. And this is another depressing, sad, bleak flick. And that's Manchester by the Sea. Oh, my goodness. Very depressing film. I think it's well done. It's Casey Affleck. He loses his brother and is entrusted to take care of his dead brother's teenage nephew, who's played by Lucas Hodges here, become his legal guardian. And Casey Affleck's divorced from Michelle Williams, who gives a great performance as well. And they're dealing with grief. They lost, through flashbacks, we learn they lose 3 children in a fire. And there's guilt, there's grief, there's redemption, whatever you want to go down the line. There's all kinds of stuff in this movie, and it's a lot to take in. But if you want to sit there and cry your eyes out for 2 hours, that's probably the movie to see. Michelle Williams, one of the great actresses, unheralded, I think. She's great in everything she does, and she's good in this movie too. Yeah. Casey Affleck is an acquired taste. I know he won the Oscar. He's so soft-spoken, and I don't know. I don't know what to make of him as an actor. I don't really like him as an actor, but he's effective here. I prefer Ben in things like The Town and Gone Girl, things like that.
I like Casey in this movie. I'll say this, Rich. I think I understand what you're saying, but Casey's really good in this flick, man.
He is very good in this flick. Yeah. But it's that voice, and the voice fits somebody who would be depressed and had the life drained out of him, you know, by the circumstances. So it works here.
But he does that too much in his other movies. I see what you're at too. Because like in the Outlaw one with Jesse James, the guy who was fascinating, he was the same way. He had that pulled back, soft voice, and it just really didn't work for me in that film.
Even in Gone Baby Gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know? I mean, he comes on at times in that movie, but he starts out as this, you know, I don't know what to make of him as an actor, but I'm going to give him his props here. He did a great job. Number 4 is another kind of depressing movie. I'm on a roll. Marriage Story, directed by Noah Baumbach. starring Adam Driver.
Adam Driver.
Anybody that's lived through divorce can appreciate this movie. I don't know. You got the bi-coastal thing. They're trying to get along. One's in LA, one's in New York. They're both involved in theater. One's an actress, one's a director. I like the performances. I like the screenplay. I like the lawyers played by Laura Dern, Ray Liotta, and Alan Alda. They got good casting here, and they're all cutthroats trying to get what's best for their client. There's a lot of resentment and bitter dialogue that they exchange, and blame and pointing fingers. And it seems so real to me. Whoever wrote the screenplay, I think it's Baumbach, I think has been through divorce, and it's like his life story on screen. And as usual, the kids are always the ones that suffer.
Yep.
In a divorce struggle.
Yep.
So, anybody have a comment on that? Have you seen it?
Yeah,
I haven't seen that one.
I had a really hard time with that movie. I was just pissed off the whole movie.
Yeah.
That individuals, how can you go from a spot in your life where you love somebody so much and then to be that vicious?
Yeah, it's definitely vicious.
You know, it's just vicious. And I never could wrap my head around it at all. I hated it.
It seemed realistic to me. They hated each other in the end. The beginning, they're lovey-dovey, and then they go through that transition period, and then separation, and then just when it comes down to crunch time, it was pure hate. Number 3 is a historical drama, Lincoln, directed by Spielberg. This covers the final 4 months of Lincoln's life. Another tour de force performance by Mr. Daniel Day-Lewis, who we always seem to like to throw the accolades at. He brings Abe Lincoln to life. You look at him, and it looks like it looks like Abe Lincoln's talking back at you. Yeah. Amazing. He's brilliant. This focuses on the 13th Amendment of the Constitution, the abolishment of slavery, and I think it does a great job. Sally Field and Tommy Lee Jones are supporting actors here. My number 2 is another true life story, Spotlight, Boston Globe, journalist investigations, dozens of accusations and the cover-up of sexual abuse in the Catholic Church. And this is a piece-by-piece uncovering of the truth. A lot like All the President's Men, in the detail of, I have this information, they're sharing information, and eventually it ends up on the front pages. It's a true story. It's eye-opening stuff. It happened in our lifetime. Great cast. Mark Ruffalo, Rachel McAdams, Michael Keaton.
Yeah, imagine taking on the Catholic Church in Boston.
Yeah, really.
Imagine that. Yeah, that's serious stuff. Yep.
Yeah, it's real serious stuff. I thought it was a good movie.
It was.
I don't know if it deserved to win Best Picture that year. It did win Best Picture, but I thought it was excellent. My number 1 is one of the great films of the decade for me, and that's The Social Network by David Fincher. This is, again, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg, rather. He's in 2003, Harvard University, the origins of Facebook. He puts this together on campus, just starts out as his friends and this and that, and just shows you how an idea can blossom into this massive, bigger than life concept and make this guy a mega millionaire. It happened. And the resulting lawsuits, these 2 twins that say he stole the idea from them, that's all in here. Jesse Eisenberg plays the lead. Andrew Garfield's in here, Armie Hammer, and Justin Timberlake. It shows you friendship, loyalty, betrayal, greed, a lot of good categories, and it makes for a good drama, and I thought it was outstanding. So those are my top 5. Manchester by the Sea, Marriage Story, Lincoln, Spotlight, and The Social Network.
Wow. We had a variety of films there, guys.
It just shows you how many great dramas there were, because we all picked apart the carcass, so to speak, and took what we liked out of it.
Yeah.
You know?
And I even moved some dramas into some other categories down the road here. So that shows you how deep it is, you know?
Yeah, I've got some wild cards that could be dramas, and what else? Some sleepers, maybe. So there's more to come.
Yeah.
And we already, like The Revenant, I had an action adventure. We showed up in drama here. Same with the 3 Billboards. Shape of Water, we've already discussed that. That showed up here as well. So there was more great movies than I remembered. They're just all over the map, Good stuff.
Nice.
All right, that'll wrap up our drama category. We have next time out, we're doing overrated. Always a pleasure to dig in and rip apart some films that have baffled us as to why they're so highly acclaimed. So we're going to take shots at them. For Brian and Doc, I'm Rich. Leave the comments. Give us your best dramas. Add some more to our list. We probably missed some, but tell us whether you agree, disagree, somewhere in the middle. And anyway, check back with us again, and we will be back with Overrated. Take care. Goodbye.